granted, they've been able to score some really good interviews. Crystal Ball, Mehdi Hassan, Kyle Kalinske, they have been really great at scoring these interviews, and they'll be good interviews. Don't get me wrong. And then somehow it'll be like, what are your thoughts about TYT? And it's all like, I get it. I understand it, why they would want them to speak on TYT, but also I feel like it kind of diminishes the moment where you can have these policy discussions and have certain debates on certain issues, and it takes away from that. I would like more focus on because they got the audience now. I believe all the people who have been disgruntled with TYT, they already left. They are on people are now tuning into them on the strength of solely just them. I don't think they need TYT at all. What you more or less see on more liberal or left-leaning shows is they all kind of go after each other. Now, some of you might not know who they are, but I'm going to bring this up. The Vanguard. The Vanguard, I like their channel. I'm subscribed to it. They talk a lot about TYT, the Young Turks. Like I said, I do not like Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian. They're very anti-Black. They're very ignorant. They're trying to do like, oh, we need to have conversations with MAGA so we can better understand each other and we'll have a beer after we decide. No, they're going on those right-wing podcasts, not arguing and fighting or pushing back on their ideas. They're mostly agreeing or just shaking their head. But if they go on a left-leaning or someone who would have more in common with them, they are pushing back, yelling at them, saying like, oh, you can't be that way. We have to have discussions and, you know, you can't just cut people off. And they literally are defending MAGA. And it's all like, wait, you guys are supposed to be a progressive platform. And mind you, that whole progressive and leftist and socialist, no, it just equals anti-Black. And we can talk about that later. But a white leftist and a white conservative, they the same people. Because some of the shit I heard them say is saying, oh, we can't, DEI, it's like a bad thing and affirmative action. We shouldn't really have that. And it's all like, wait, aren't you the people who's supposed to understand and be able to articulate that those programs are there to give access to people? It's not necessarily mean that merit or they didn't have the qualifications. No, it meant that these people would never have a seat at the table. And I want to circle to that later, but let me finish with the Vanguard. So the Vanguard, they criticize the Young Turks and stuff like that. That's what their channel is basically. They give commentary and stuff like that, which is cool. I am fine with. But a lot of people were upset that, oh, I was calling them out or anything. And it wasn't calling them out. I was just saying that at this time, we need to be pushing back on what is going on. Like these people losing their jobs. The prices of groceries, have those went down? No. This cultural shift of where you're basically going to be penalized if you speak out against the power. It's literally turning into a dictatorship without us, being dragged out in the street or thrown in jail or, and talk about more of the policies and the things that are going on in the world. Yes, you can criticize somebody for not being on the left or not being left enough or being Democrat, whatever, but that's not resolving any issue. That's not educating the people. Because you don't see the right, you don't see Candace Owens and Megyn Kelly going after each other. You don't see that. Now, you did see a little bit when Candace got fired from the Daily Wire. She didn't say too much. She quickly went back to bashing Black people. But, there was a little tiff right there. But other than that, you don't see them bashing each other. It's great to call out other people, but don't make that your main thing. And especially somebody like them who almost have 100K, like they got the power where they can talk about anything and really educate the masses. And we need more of that on this side because this cultural change where minorities, immigrants, people who are different, LGBTQ, everybody is being looked at as, oh, you guys are soft, or you're always crying and bitching and moaning, and you're trying to get ahead of, of the white people. And it's not that. Everybody is supposed to be welcome, and it's not feeling that way. And so there could be a larger discussion. And that's what my point was. Listen, they ain't got to listen to me. They can do whatever they want to do. I don't mind. I don't care. But it was just a critique that I don't even want to say criticism, a critique that I was giving. That was it. So it wasn't like, oh, I was bashing them or anything like that. Like, no, that's not what I was doing. So it was weird when I was reading that in the comments and I'm all like, okay, something got lost in translation. Let me go ahead and clarify what I actually meant. But with that being said, let me go ahead and talk with the whole DEI thing real quick. Because I've seen somebody say like, oh, it didn't help Black people, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're only about 3% of the people who benefited from it. Yeah, like 3-4%, right? Totally get it, totally understand it. Now, here's the problem. DEI was more than just the workforce. It almost gave people a reason to be all like, oh, I was tired of thinking about y'all. I was tired of catering to y'all or feeling like I had to treat you special or differently because you're this or you've been oppressed. Like basically, you know, after George Floyd, that's when a lot of the DEI programs and these companies said, oh, we're committed to change and all this other stuff. It was fake. It was a business move. It was good for the time. But when Trump came in office, it was all like, DEI, we're going to get rid of that. Mind you, that was just at the executive level. That was not at the private sector. He signed the executive order for the federal level. For federal, not the private sector. But those businesses like the Walmart, Target, this and Amazon, all that, felt like, oh, well, shit, now that he done put that out there, now we can, like, phew, finally we ain't got to care about these Negroes. You know, that's the way it felt. Like, oh, God, finally. Just like Target, for example, the reason why people are boycotting Target is because it's not because they just got rid of DEI. They started pushing, like, you know how they always did stuff for Black History and they would put it in the front, like books and different Black vendors and stuff like that. And they would really highlight that. Well, they started putting that stuff in the back or on the side where you can't see it. On top of that, some of the Black products started going on clearances. So they started easily, you know, throwing that shit out or trying to move that shit out. Those trainings, you know, as far as diversity trainings, those are out the window. And trust me, if you ever work in corporate or you work in an environment like an office space, you need that because there's a lot of ignorance that goes on. And let's be honest about something. No Black person has ever been given a job. They have never been given a job. They earned it. We all know when we go to that job, we got to know that job frontwards and backwards before we even get in the motherfucker. We know that, right? We got to know it before we even get in there. You know how with Black people, we be on a 3-month probation and shit like that? No, when you Black, your whole motherfucking time at that job is a motherfucking probation. You're never off of probation. You're always on probation. You're always constantly proving yourself. I never remember a time where I didn't have to, like I wasn't proving myself. You're constantly proving yourself. You're constantly being compared to the other counterparts.